तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ओम तव कथामृतं तप्त जीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमंगलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we are in the conversations of 18th October 1885. Heading of the chapter is Sri Ramakrishna Shampukur, and we are English page 850, bottom side, Bengali page 919, Tritiya Parichet. It was afternoon. Dr. Sarkar arrived accompanied by his son Amrita and Hem. Two different people, not his sons. His son Amrita and Hem. And this Hem is Rai Sahib Hem Bahadur Kar, the father of Sri Ramakrishna's boy devotee Paltu. Narendra and other devotees were present. Sri Ramakrishna was talking aside to Amrita, doctor's son. Sri Ramakrishna was talking aside to Amrita. He asked him, "Do you meditate?" He further said to him, "Do you know what one feels in meditation? The mind becomes like a continuous flow of oil. It thinks of one object only, and that is God. It does not think of anything else." So understood? Definition of meditation? Like a flow of oil, the only one thought, God. That is meditation. Thinks of one object only. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to the devotees. Master. So, different, huh? Talking to Amrita, talking to devotees, and now Sri Ramakrishna to the doctor. Your son does not believe in the incarnation of God. That's all right. It doesn't matter if he does not believe in it. Might be because of modern Western education. Your son is a nice boy. Why shouldn't he be? Does a mango tree of the fine Bombay variety ever bear sour mangoes? Bombay variety, do you understand? Hapus, Alfonso. But that is known to Bombay people. Outside people say it is Bombay variety. How firm his faith in God is? That man is a true man whose mind dwells on God. He alone is a man whose spiritual consciousness has been awakened and who is firmly convinced that God alone is real and all else illusory. So Vedantic thought. He does not believe in divine incarnation, but what does that matter? It is enough he believes that God exists and that all this universe and its living beings are the manifestations of his power, like a rich man and his garden. So the fundamental he believes, that's all. Some say that there are 10 divine incarnations, some 24, that is in Bhagavad, while others say there are innumerable incarnations in the Bhagavad itself. If you see anywhere a special manifestation of God's power, you may know that God has incarnated himself there. That is my opinion. Okay. Let me see the life and then decide. There is another view according to which God has become all that you see. It is like a bale fruit which consists of three parts: seeds, shell, and flesh. That which is the absolute has also its relative aspect, and that which is that relative has also its absolute aspect. Nirgun, Sagun, Brahma are same. Nirgun, if you call, it has Sagun aspect also. If you say Sagun, it has Nirgun aspect also. You cannot set aside the absolute and understand just the relative. This is the mistake which Vaishnava generally do. And it is only because there is the relative that you can transcend it step by step and reach the absolute. This is more important. If there was only Nirguna, there would not be any means to realize it. Absolutely, there would not have been any means. But because it is Nirgun Sagun, Sagun you can see, and through that Sagun you can understand that that Sagun is not real in itself, it is changing. So there has to be reality at the back. That is the only way a man comprehends the God. A man comprehends God by the thing he experiences. That is the world. That is the Sagun aspect of Brahman. So clearly separated. Nirgun Brahma could be realized only because there is Sagun Brahma. Because God himself appears in the universe. And always the knowledge is from known to unknown. Because we know the world, we can find God the unknown. If there is no world, how could we have thought of God? So that is an important thing. We need not condemn the word. We should not use it in the enjoyed way, but we should use it to think of God. So while talking, a very, very important lesson comes out. You cannot set aside the absolute and understand just the relative. If you say there is Nirgun Brahma, where does this world stand? World is ever changing. So Nirguna has to be accepted and accepted. But how we could have realized it unless you had this about? So that is how, that is how Thakur is teaching us. Nirgun, Sagun, both are there, both are important. Through Sagun only we can realize Nirgun, and without Nirgun, Sagun would have not stood at all. So that is Nirgun, Sagun, Brahma. I don't think this is expressed in this way anywhere in the world. You can transcend it step by step. Gross world, subtle world, causal world, God, like that. Or Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Anandamaya Kosh, and Ananda Swarup. Matter, vital energy, mind, I consciousness, bliss of union with God, and God finally. So long as I consciousness exists, a man cannot go beyond the relative. That is another important thing. Absolute can be realized only by giving up the I consciousness. I consciousness and world are born together, exist together. This is also very important. In these 2-3 paragraphs, Thakur has explained everything. So long as I consciousness exists, a man cannot go beyond the relative. Through meditation, he can negate the phenomena following the process of neti neti. So in meditation, one has to test everything and see that it is changing, it is unreal, and like that transcending, we reach that which cannot be negated. But nothing can really be denied, as in the instance of the bell fruit. That is important. The Sagun is unreal, unreal, unreal. No. No, no, no. By calling Sagun unreal, 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 we are entering a negative realism. But Sagun is unreal to begin with. There is a reality at the back. And that very reality appears as this relative. That is the full Vedanta. Nothing can really be denied, as in the instance of the bell fruit. Doctor, quite true. Master, Kacha had been immersed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When his mind was coming down to the relative plane, someone asked him, "What do you see now?" Kacha replied, "I see that the universe is soaked, as it were, in God. Everything is filled with God. It is God alone who has become all that I see. I do not know what to accept and what to reject." So Thakur has so many stories to support it. Kacha, we'll have to tell the story now. The Asuras had Sanjeevani power. Their guru Shukracharya had the Sanjeevani power. In a war, if anybody dies, he would be revived again. Gods did not have this power. So they sent one of them called Kacha to go and learn it from Shukracharya. He came down, and while he was learning, his daughter Devayani was enamored of Kacha and wanted to marry him. And the Asuras came to know that he has come from God. So they many times tried to kill him. And finally, they killed and burnt and powdered his body and mixed it with wine, which Shukracharya was weak on that point. And they gave the wine to Shukracharya to drink. Now, Devani wanted Kacha. So, how if Shukra releases Kacha, Shukra will die. So at that point, Shukra was compelled to teach Kacha the Sanjeevani Vidya in his stomach. And then Shukracharya gave out Kacha. Shukracharya died. Kacha, with the help of Sanjeevani, revived him. And then he told Devayani, "My work is over, I am going back." Now, in that duration, Kacha has Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and Kacha comes back. So from the whole story, Thakur has taken out that much. But Kacha, when the name came, I had to tell that story. In my opinion, one should realize both the Nitya and the Leela. Same, different names. Nirguna is called Nitya, eternal and changing. Leela is the sport. And then live in the world as the servant of God. So finally, with some relation with God, he can continue in the world. Hanuman saw both the personal God and the formless reality. So another name for this second Brahma is called personal God, formless reality. The Nirguna, Nirakar, he then lived as a devotee of God, as a servant. So servant is one form of the devotee, M to himself. So we must accept both the absolute and the relative. Since the introduction of the Vedanta philosophy in Germany, some of the European philosophers too have been thinking along that line. But the master says that one cannot realize both the Nitya and the Leela without complete renunciation. That is to say, without totally giving up woman and gold. So world is there, but the idea that I want to enjoy and I want to have the means of enjoyment, that is the downfall. With that one cannot realize God. World has to be accepted as manifestation of God, not as objects of enjoyment. Such a person must be a true renouncer. He must be totally detached from the world. Here lies the real difference between him and such European philosophers as Hegel. They do not understand this point. We need not think of the detail of Hegel's philosophy. In Dr. Sarkar's opinion, God created man and ordained that every soul should make infinite progress. That is another foolish philosophy. Because a person has not reached the absolute, he imagines that progress is infinite. There was one. I told one day, Professor Ranade in Maharashtra, different from Gurudev Ranade, different, Professor Ranade. You would not believe that one man was greater than another. Dr. Sarkar. There is another fad of the Western educated people. That was why I did not believe in the doctrine of divine incarnation. Man, he says. But do we not see the difference so markedly? How can you deny what we see? Doctor, I believe in infinite progress. If that is not so, then what is the use of leading a mere 5 or 6 years existence in the world? I would rather hang myself with a rope round my neck. 5 or 6 years. That means he takes long life, also a short life. Incarnation, what is that? To cower before a man who excretes filth. It is absurd. But we speak of a man as the reflection of God's light. Yes, that I admit. All men. Girish smiling. But you have not seen God's light. Girish has a reasoning, good reasoning. So you can find holes in the other's reasoning. Dr. Sarkar was hesitating before giving a reply. A friend who sat near him whispered something into his ear. Dr. to Girish, you too have not seen anything but a reflection. Girish, I see it. I see the light. I shall prove that Shri Krishna is an incarnation of God, or I shall cut out my tongue. That Girish goes to the extreme. Master, all this is useless talk. It is like the ravings of delirious patient. A delirious patient says, I shall drink a whole tank of water. I shall eat a whole pot of rice. The physician says, yes, yes, you will have all these. We shall give you whatever you want when you are convalescent. When butter is heated, it sizzles and crackles. That means all of them do not have experience and they have their own opinions. When butter is heated, it sizzles and crackles. But all sound comes to a stop when it is thoroughly boiled. As a man's mind is, so is his conception of God. That is the most important thing. I have seen in rich men's houses portraits of the queen and other aristocrats. But the devotees keep in their houses pictures of gods and goddesses. So minds are different. Lakshmana said, "O Rama, even a sage like Vashishta Dev was overcome with grief on account of the death of his son." Brother replied, Rama, whoever has knowledge has ignorance also. So I know God is knowledge, that is ignorance also. When I drops out, then only the real knowledge vijnana dawns. Then one is beyond pleasure and pain. Whoever is conscious of light is also conscious of darkness. Therefore, go beyond knowledge and ignorance. One attains that state through an intimate knowledge of God. This knowledge is called Vijnana. God is experienced both in his Nirguna and Saguna aspect, and an intimate relation is found with him. And in practical life, one lives with that relation of God, and now and then one can go in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is Vijnana. When a thorn enters the soul of your foot, you have to get another thorn. You then remove the first thorn with the help of the second. Afterwards, you throw away both. Likewise, after removing the thorn of ignorance with the help of the thorn of knowledge, you should throw away the thorns of both knowledge and ignorance. I am matter, ignorance. I am God, knowledge. So I am God will remove I am matter. But then I am God is also ignorance, relatively. So I am God also is thrown away, means I is thrown away. Then it is Vijnana. Mhm. There are signs of perfect knowledge. Every time he talks about Vijnana, he talks about this sign. Otherwise, anybody can say, I know God. There are signs of perfect knowledge. One is that reasoning comes to an end. As I have just said, the butter sizzles and crackles as long as it is not thoroughly boiled. So, in realization, there is no place of reason, no place. You cannot reach God through reason. Doctor, but can one retain perfect knowledge permanently? You say that all is God. Then why have you taken up this profession of a Paramahansa? And why do these people attend on you? Why don't you keep silent? So he has not understood the Leela aspect of it. That Thakur is God himself. And he is wants to get cured and service and all that, so that people will come to illumination. It has nothing of selfishness there. Master smiling. Water is water, whether it is still or moves or breaks into wave. Very beautiful example of Thakur. Water is in waves. Is it not water? When he is in samadhi, he has realized God. And when he talks and walks and lives in the relative world with relative values, is it not God? I must tell you something else. Why should I not listen to the Mahut Narayana? Yesterday we saw that. Relative values derived from absolute also are to be followed till one realizes the goal. The Guru had taught his disciple that everything was Narayana. A mad elephant was coming towards the disciple, but he did not move away since he believed the Guru's words. He thought that the elephant was Narayana. The mouse shouted to him, get away, but the disciple did not move. The elephant picked him up and threw him to the ground. The disciple was not quite dead. When his face was sprinkled with water, he regained consciousness. Being asked why he had not moved away, he said, why should I? The Guru said everything is Narayana. But my child, said the Guru, why didn't you listen to the words of the Mahut Narayana? We are missing that now. It is God who dwells within as the pure mind and pure intelligence. I am the machine and he is the operator. I am the house and he is the indweller. It is God who is Mahut Narayana. So he is the relative values also God teaches. And this attitude is the best. He is the conscious dweller in this house. I am only the house. It is God who dwells within. Doctor, let me ask you something. Why do you ask me to cure your illness if everything is God? Master, I talk that way as long as I am conscious of the jar of the ego. In the relative plane, is conscious that he is a person. Think of a vast ocean filled with water on all sides. A jar is immersed in it. There is water both inside and outside the jar, but the water does not become one unless the jar is broken. It is God who has kept the jar of the ego in me. We love God, that also. Girish. Girish comes in between. Sir, how do you know that he is not playing tricks? God is not playing tricks? No. I missed something. Doctor, what is the meaning of ego and all that you are talking about? You must explain it to me. Do you mean to say that God is playing tricks on us? He has not got all this point, God's will. So he says God is playing tricks on us. Girish, sir, how do you know that he is not playing tricks? Master smiling. It is God who has kept this ego in us. All this is his play, his lila. He gives example because these things are not proved by reason, only by example. A king has 4 sons. They are all princes, but when they play, one becomes a minister, another a police officer, and so on. Though a prince, he plays as a police officer. To the doctor, listen, if you realize Atman, you will see the truth of all I have said. So it's a matter of experience. All doubts disappear after the vision of God, doctor. But is it ever possible to get rid of all doubts? So he accepts that he has doubts. Master, Learn from me as much as I have told you. But if you want to know more, you must pray to God in solitude. Ask Him why He has so ordained. So as much as could be taught is being taught. Otherwise, you have to hear, you have to see. The son of the house can give a beggar only a small measure of rice. Example for that also. Thakur being son of God can give a small measure of rice, but if the beggar asks for his train fare, then the master of the house must be caught. The doctor remained silent. Hmm. So this line of thinking has hit the doctor inside. Master, well, you love reasoning. All right, let us reason a little. Listen. According to Jnani, there is no incarnation of God. Krishna said to Arjuna, you speak of me as an incarnation of God. Let me show you something. Come with me. Arjuna had followed Shri Krishna a short distance when Shri Krishna asked him, what do you see there? Arjuna replied, a big tree with black berries hanging in bunches. Krishna said, these are not blackberries. Go nearer and look at them. Arjuna went nearer and saw that they were Krishnas hanging in bunches. Do you see now, said Krishna, how many Krishnas like me have grown there? So, incarnations is a manifestation of God, is infinite. Kabir Das said of Krishna, he danced like a monkey to the clapping of the gopis. Okay, because Kabir Das was a devotee of Rama. As you go nearer to God, you see less and less of his upadhis. Upadhis means through which he appears, his attributes. A devotee at first may see the deity as the 10-armed divine mother. When he goes nearer, he sees her possessed of 6 arms. Still nearer, he sees the deity as the 2-armed Gopala, mild form. Mother has dissolved into Gopala. The nearer he comes to the deity, the fewer attributes he sees. At last, when he comes into the presence of the deity, he sees only light without any attributes. Light is always consciousness. So when you will merge in that, you will find only consciousness. Listen a little to the Vedantic reasoning. A magician came to a king to show his magic. When the magician moved away a little, the king saw a rider on horseback approaching him. He was brilliantly arrayed and had various weapons in his hands. The king and the audience began to reason out what was real in the phenomena before them. Evidently, the horse was not real, nor the robes, nor the armor. At last, they found out beyond the shadow of a doubt that the rider alone was there. The significance of this is that Brahman alone is real and the world unreal. Nothing whatsoever remains if you analyze. Doctor, I don't object to that, Master. But it is not easy to get rid of illusion. It lingers even after the attainment of knowledge. A man dreamt of a tiger. When he woke up and his dream vanished, but his heart continued to palpitate. It remains but does not raise its head and it dies down automatically. Gamyaman it is called. Some thieves came to a field. A straw figure resembling a man had been put there to frighten intruders. The thieves were scared by the figure and could not persuade themselves to enter the field. One of them, however, approached and found that it was only a figure made of straw. He came back to his companions and said, there is nothing to be afraid of. But still they refused to go. They said that their hearts were beating fast. Then the daring thief laid the figure on the ground and said, it is nothing, it is nothing. This is the process of neti neti. What he has compared with that. It is nothing, it appears to be real. Doctor, these are fine words. So Thakur has taken an angle which is appealing to the doctor. Master, smiling. What kind of words? Doctor, fine. Master, then give me a thank you. The master said the words thank you in English. Doctor, don't you know what is in my mind? I go to so much trouble to come and visit you. So don't think I don't respect you, I don't love you. Thank you is formal in that concern. Master smiling. No, no, it is not that. Say something for the good of the ignorant. That means inner bhav I understand. But how people around me will understand? If you say thank you, then they will know that you have really accepted my thing. After the death of Ravana, his brother Vibhishana refused to be the king of Silo. He said, "O Rama, I have obtained you. What shall I do with kingship?" Rama said, "Vibhishana, be king for the sake of the ignorant. Then they will understand that you get something." For those who might ask, what riches you have gained by serving me so much, be king to give them a lesson. So many stories he can tell. Doctor, are there such ignorant people here? Because there are Thakur's disciples. Master smiling. Oh yes, here you will find oysters and snails as well as conches. Allah. There are different types, he said. Dr. Sarkar, who was a homeopath, gave Sri Ramakrishna two globules of medicine. He said, I am giving you these two globules. One is Purusha and the other is Prakriti. He just imitates some philosophy. Allah. Master smiling. Oh yes, Purusha and Prakriti are always together. He finds some meaning in that also. Haven't you observed pigeons? The male and female cannot live separately. Wherever Purusha is, there is Prakriti, and wherever Prakriti is, there is Purusha. So through the example of the pigeons, he shows that. It was Vijaya Day. Sri Ramakrishna asked Dr. Sarkar to have some refreshments. The devotees served him with sweets. Doctor, while eating, now I say thank you for the sweets, but it is not for your teachings. Why should I give that thank you in words? Master smiling. The essential thing is to fix the mind on God and to practice meditation a little. That is where Thakur wants the master, doctor to go. What more shall I say? Pointing to the younger Naren, look at him. His mind totally merges in God. Those things I was telling you, doctor. Tell the others also, master. No, a man should be given food according to his power of digestion. Can all understand what I told you? I cannot talk to everyone as I talk to you. Suppose a mother has, same example, suppose a mother has brought a fish for the family. All her children have not the same power of digestion. For some she makes pulao and for others she makes stew. These latter have weak stomachs. Allah. Dr. Sarkar took his leave. It was Vijaya Day when people show their love and respect to their friends and elders with appropriate greetings. Bengali customs, huh? The devotees all prostrated themselves before Sri Ramakrishna and took the dust of his feet. Then they embraced one another. Their joy knew no bounds. The master was seriously ill, but he made them all forget about the illness, his illness. The embracing and exchange of greetings continued a long time. The devotees also took light refreshments. The younger Naren, M, and a few other devotees sat near Sri Ramakrishna. The master talked to them joyfully. He spoke of Dr. Sarkar. Master, I shall not have to tell him very much. When the trunk of a tree is cut almost to the other side, the cutter steps aside. A little later, the tree falls down of itself. Example for that also. The younger Naren smiling, here everything is principle. Hmm? What does he mean? Everything is principle means what? Through examples, he is trying to show some rules or laws. So that is the principle. Okay. Master to him, the doctor has already changed a great deal, hasn't he? Yes, sir. When he comes here, he loses his wits. He never talks about medicine. When we remind him of it, he says, oh, yes, yes, I shall have to give the medicine. So much charmed he was with Thakur's way of talking. Some of the devotees were singing in the parlor. They returned to the master's room. Shirampit said, I heard your music, but why did you make mistakes in the rhythm? I once heard of a man who was an adept in discord. You sang like him. So Thakur's music, the swara and the rhythm were absolutely correct every time. And break in the rhythm is as bad as break in the swaras. So he jokes, Betal Siddha. No, it has some fun also. Betal is a ghost. So adept in Betal. Or Betal means out of rhythm. So there is a pun there. A young man, a relative of the younger Naren, arrived. He was bespectacled and floppishly dressed. Sri Ramakrishna spoke to the younger Naren, Master, you see, a young man was going along the road. He had put on a plaited shirt and how he stuttered. Now and again he would display the shirt by removing his scarf and then look around to see if anyone was admiring him. But when he walked, you could see that he was knock-kneed. That is a disability, but covering with something nice. Allah. The peacock displays its feathers, but its feet are very dirty. Allah. The camel is very ugly. Everything about it is ugly. Young man, but it acts well. Master, yes, but it browses on briars. It will continue to eat thorns. Through its mouth bleeds. The worldly man loses his children and still clamors for more. So Thakur compares the worldly man to the camel. So we come to October 22, 1885. It was Thursday evening, a few days after the Durga Puja. Sri Ramakrishna sat on his bed in his room on the second floor with Dr. Sarkar, Ishan and other devotees. We know Ishan. Although Dr. Sarkar was a very busy physician, he could spend a long time, sometimes 6 or 7 hours in Sri Ramakrishna's company. He had great love for the master and looked on the devotees as his own kith and kin. A lamp was burning in the room. Master, moonlight illumined the outside world. Addressing Ishan, a householder devotee, the master said, so Thakur is going on talking in spite of his disease. Blessed indeed is the householder who performs his duties in the world, at the same time cherishing love for the lotus feet of God. He is indeed a hero. He is like a man. This is encouraging the householders. He is like a man who carries a heavy load of 2 mounts on his head and at the same time watches a bridal procession. One cannot lead such a life without great spiritual power. Again, such a man is like the mudfish, which lives in the mud but is not strained by it. Further, such a householder may be compared to a waterfowl. It is constantly driving underwater, yet by fluttering its wings only once it shakes off all. How many examples to explain a particular thing? But a man must practice some spiritual discipline in order to be able to lead a detached life in the world. It is necessary for him to spend some time in solitude, be it a year, 6 months, 3 months, or even 1 month. Hmm. This much solitude Thakur wants. Be it a year, 6 months, 3 months, or even 1 month. In that solitude, he should fix his mind on God and pray with a longing heart for love of God. Pray for love of God. He should also say to himself, there is nobody in the world who is my own. So these are the ways through which God can be caught. Those whom I call my own are here only for 2 days. God alone is my own. He alone is my all in all. Alas, how shall I realize him? There should be the attitude living even in the world. So it is always with a rider. You can if you are like that. One can live in the world after acquiring love of God. It is like breaking the jackfruit after rubbing your hands with oil. So this is another thing important Thakur is telling. The sticky juice of the fruit will not smear them. How much to read? Hmm. Okay, we shall continue tomorrow. The world is like water and the mind like milk. If you examples after examples, because everything can be understood with its different shades. That is why different examples. This example explains something, that example explains something, then you get the total picture. The world is like water and the mind like milk. If you put milk in water, it will mix with the water. But first, keep the milk in a quiet place and let it turn into curd. Then from the curd extract butter. That butter you may keep in water and it will not mix with the water but will float on it. Some members of the Brahmo Samaj said to me, Sir, our attitude toward the world is that of King Janaka. Janaka. He was called Videha, no body consciousness, though he was the king. And they are comparing with him. The other meaning of Janaka is a father who begets sons. Like him, we want to enjoy the world in a detached spirit. Enjoy in a detached spirit. I said to them, to live in the world in a detached spirit is very difficult. I said to them, to live in the world in a detached spirit is very difficult. By merely saying so, you cannot be a King Janaka. How much austerity Janaka practiced? How long he remained in one posture with head down and feet up? So Thakur knows that Janaka practiced very hard austerity, realized God, and then stayed in the world. You don't have to practice these extreme discipline, but you need sadhana. You should live in solitude. You may live the life of a householder after having attained divine knowledge and love in solitude. Milk turns into curd only when it is not disturbed. The curd does not set if the milk is often moved from place to place or is too much disturbed. On account of his detachment from the world, Janaka was known as the Videha, that is, one free from consciousness of the body. Though living in the world, he moved about as a Jivan-Mukta, a free soul living in a body. But for most people, freedom from body consciousness is something very far off. intense spiritual discipline is necessary. You just stop that, you will be like Janaka. Janaka was a great hero. He fenced with two swords, one of knowledge and the other of work. That is a song or concept about Janaka. You may ask, is there any difference between the realization of two jnanis, one a householder and other a monk? The reply is that the two belong to one class if they have knowledge. Both of them are jnanis. They have the same experience. But a householder jnani has reason to fear. He cannot altogether get rid of his fear as long as he is to live in the midst of woman and God. If you constantly live in a room full of soot, you are sure to soil your body, be it ever so little, no matter how clever you may be. After extracting the butter, if you keep it in a new pot, then there is no chance of it getting spoiled. But if you keep the butter in a pot where curd has been kept, well, then it is doubtful whether it will keep its flavor. Another example. When they parch rice, a few grains jump out of the frying pan to the ground. These are white, like mallika flowers. Jasmine of a type is called mallika, without the slightest stain on them. But the grains that remain in the pan are also good, though not as immaculate as the fresh mallika flower. They are a little stained. In the same way, if a monk who has renounced the world attains divine wisdom, he appears as spotless as the white flower. But one who stays in the frying pan of the world after attaining knowledge may get a little blemish. Allah. So examples. Aha. I think we'll discontinue here because it is a long thing. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so we'll come to it again on Thursday. Om Tava Kathamrutam Tapta Jivanam Kavivireeditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatam Muigrunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.